Welcome back to our conversation with Diane Hessan, who regularly surveys the opinions of over 400 voters around the country about current political events. And Dan, one thing that has struck me lately in the wake of the run-up to and then the passage of the tax cut in Washington, in the 150 years that I've been covering politics, I have never seen such negative poll numbers about a tax cut. Tax hikes, yes. People don't like those, but always people love tax cuts. At least at this point, so far, not so much here. What's going on?
Yeah. Well, first of all, the question probably wasn't, are you for or against a tax cut? The question was probably, are you for or against the bill? And, you know, John, I think voters realize that there are huge complexities these days in policy, in the issues that they're trying to deal with. So asking yes and no questions is always tricky in that kind of environment. You know, you say to people, do you think climate change is a problem or not? And the answer is very often not yes or no. It's like, well, wait a minute. Yeah. I think the climate is changing, but, you know, my issue is I don't know whether it's man-made or whatever. So I think with the tax cut, the numbers are also low because people are saying, well, there are things I like, there are things I don't like. If I only get to say yes or no, I guess it could be improved, I'll pick no.
Well, a lot of these polls are showing people identifying the rich as disproportionately benefiting from these tax cuts.
Yeah, that message got out.
Yeah, so that's a message that has connected.
Absolutely. And that message has even been part of conservative media, where the pundits will talk about how, you know, the venture capitalists still are only having to pay capital gains on their carry and, you know, just some of those issues. That message is out there.
Yeah. Also, maybe trickle-down economics isn't as popular as it once was in this country. I want to use our remaining time. We've talked a lot about the Republicans. Let's talk about the Democrats. You wrote recently that just as many Republicans are disappointed with their party's performance this past year, there's also widespread disappointment among Democrats and Democratic-leaning independents with the Democrats. Can this party thrive this year just by being anti-Trump? And if not, what do they have to do?
Can they thrive being anti-Trump? I mean, my sense from talking to voters is not really, unless we get really lucky. I mean, what's really lucky mean? The message out of Alabama is not the Democrats have their act together. The message out of Alabama is when the other guy is a pedophile, there's a good chance. Right. But a platform that says the other candidate is a pedophile doesn't exactly work throughout the United States. Right. And so I think saying vote for us because the other guy's bad, vote for us because the other guy is unfit or whatever else is not enough. Everyone is screaming saying we want to know what you stand for, what are you for? And I think if Trump really misbehaves, has a string of horrible tweets, if there are candidates who are pedophiles, criminals, you know, whatever, or
gets us into war,
extreme views, we can probably come out just by saying, I don't like the other side. You know, what do you have to lose? Vote for me. But in the absence of that, I think the Democrats need to work on what they're for and come up with some kind of inspirational message that really resonates with people.
Not to mention a leader, someone who's identified as the leader of that party who can connect. They don't have that yet.
I don't think so. I don't think so. Not yet.
Yeah. Diane, always interesting to talk with you. Come back again in a few months, and let's get another update from you and your voters.
Will do.
Thanks very much.
Nice to see you, John.
Merry Christmas.
You too.
And same to all of you. Thank you very much for watching. I'm going to throw it back over now to my colleagues for more WBZ News.